Push the record button. Um, I'm gonna go ahead and say it, but I think the ecological approach from a sports coaching perspective is redundant.
Whoa! Okay. Have we hit just a test? We have hit record. I didn't hear it go off.
Yeah. I
Okay,
am
cool.
recording.
What? Well, actually, okay. So my first ecological psychology from a sports science perspective is redundant.
Ecological approach.
Ecological approach. See, ecological approach. We've had this discussion before, like because we've done it before. We've had the ecological approach to X,
Hmm.
ecological approach to business, ecological. In fact, I was looking at my Obsidian Vault the other day, and they were all coming out. I'm like, yeah, this feels really redundant. Like, it's just the ecological approach.
Yeah. I see where you're coming from. I'm thinking from a discussions perspective, when you're
Mm,
bringing up points, raising issues, talking about how to change, behavior change, etc. I think talking or even mentioning ecological approach is redundant to most coaches.
yeah.
Redundant because of where most coaches are at.
Hmm.
I mean, the majority of people that I've spoken to, that even the ones that are like pushing for the ecological approach, I don't think make good arguments. Like, I agree with their arguments. And
Yeah.
I agree with the evidence. I agree with the
Hmm.
science. I agree with the evidence. I agree with the philosophy and the theory, but I don't think they make good arguments. And if you're not making good arguments, either you don't understand your side well enough, or the other side,
Which, let's be frank, is quite possible because
yeah, it is
when you work,
complicated.
like, it's so damn complicated.
Yeah. Well, it's not, but it is so new. There's a lot of
Yes, it's new
context.
language. The language is different.
Yeah.
The nuances to what we say are so
We,
fickle and
It's not the
difficult.
nuances, it's knowing how to apply it in
Mm,
dynamic context. And because there's dynamic context, it's like saying, well, it depends. Like someone gives you a
yeah,
question, you're like, well, it depends. It depends. It depends. That I don't think is that useful.
no.
And having spoken with various coaches over the last couple of weeks, and having experienced their sessions, talking about the ecological approach is redundant. Like there is no point. As I'll give a tangible example or a more tangible example. I went to. Um, I'm going to put this as a video, so I'm going to make sure I'm going through like all the things. Yeah. So I went to a circus. It was well. I didn't go to a circus. I went to a place that teaches circus skills, and we did a warm up for juggling. But I could already juggle, and they knew I could juggle. So we were practicing throwing a sort of like tissue thing to get used to throwing from one side to the other side because that was the session. It's not a bad session, it's not a good session, it's just a session. But I can already juggle with three objects, be that a ball, rings, never tried clubs, but I imagine I'd get there eventually. So I can juggle three objects. I used to, when I had two eyes, be able to juggle four for a little bit. I even tried five. But we were juggling a tissue, which is so obviously a big object and it's slow in the air. And then we went to two. And then eventually we got to three. And that was after a physical warm up as well. So I physically warmed up my legs, my body, and the rest of it. Then I warmed up this movement skill. Um, and I don't think that's got anything to do with ecological approach when it comes to like the coaching or the traditional approach to coaching, because both of those things are heavily philosophical,
Yeah,
which, yes, you can draw connections to. But either ecological or traditional would both suggest that doing the one. the one tissue throw is less effective than finding a desirable difficulty to my skill challenge.
Hmm.
So bringing up ecological approach is redundant in that situation for
Hmm.
the warm up or the skills warm up.
Hmm.
Moving forwards, we went through the session, we did lots of different things, and there wasn't a goal from me for the session because I didn't know I didn't have. Like I went there as a coach just to explore. So we explored different movements. Are we exploring movements from an ecological perspective? Well, no, because I did what I was told. There were step-by-step instructions. Was that bad? Well, no, because I had no idea what I was exploring. I've never tried climbing on a ring, doing a metal ring, doing aerial stuff. I don't know what I'm doing. If she said explore that, I probably would have climbed on it like anyone would. Two hands, put foot through, stand up. Yay, I did it. Like that's what it affords me. Um, so could she have done that? Yes. But then there's safety elements to it, and then there's what you would expect people to explore. So where are the constraints that you add? Well, in a traditional, maybe you want to highly constrain it. So do I want to talk about the traditional or the ecological approach to coaching, highly constrained, minimally constrained, potentially exercises or drills or practices? I don't think that is an effective conversation with that coach, especially as the majority of the people that she works with aren't as physically literate as myself.
Mm.
Like she's working with a lot of SEND individuals that struggle to coordinate two objects with their hands. And so her expertise might be with, or it probably is with, people not like me.
Mm.
And so the ecological discussion, I think, in that coach development situation is redundant. There's a bit of context for that hot take that I said at the beginning.
Okay. Okay.
Further down the
Okay.
line, it may become more relevant
Okay. What would make it more relevant then?
when I think the coach is more aware of what it is that they're doing. I think because they were saying lots of things,
Mm.
traditional things, such as
Hmm.
juggling is really good for brain training.
Hmm.
And it helps build up the neurons in the brain. Um, and she quoted some studies, and they're accurate studies. When you're being active, it helps you, like reduce. So with dementia and any sort of brain in inverted commas issues, activity issues, memory of family, or just being able to move or balance and walk. The study, which I had a look at, which is accurate, says that if you're more active, you're more likely to like do things than if you're not active. Yeah, shock horror. And
Surprised. I
yeah,
never would have thought that. I never would have thought that if you were more active, you're more likely to be active.
yeah. If you do stuff, your body retains what it needs to do the stuff. And juggling was part of that study, and the people that were juggling maintained their ability to stay active, whereas those that weren't juggling didn't maintain and sometimes lost more, which I don't think that's the juggling. I think that's the being active, doing stuff thing. Um, so again, it's she's making claims. And the claims are built from the research that she's read, and I think it's the same for everyone. And she's assigning cause and effect to something that might not necessarily be a direct cause, but there's multi-causality, as we would suggest. And in traditional science, traditional approaches would also suggest multi-causality, non-linear, depending on how strict they are, but non-linear, multi. Non-obvious is typically ecological. Non-obvious doesn't seem to be in the traditional. There are a couple from active inference that are talking that way, but non-obvious is more ecological. But the non-linear multi is often across both. But this coach wasn't really looking at that. And that's not a fault of the coach. That's not a bad thing.
Mm.
They're still doing amazing work. So I'm like, is it worth saying, ha, well, you did warm up, that's bad. You did cool down, that's bad. You told me this, that's not right. You told me that, that's not right. You told me this stuff. Yeah, that's well outdated. That's not useful. That becomes like oh, what are they called? people that like they're independent reviewers.
Critics.
Kind of. They're the regulators, begins with an R.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, you become like a regulator of coaching science, which it's not needed. Like they do great work. They get people active. They get people moving. They develop people's skills. Could they be more effective? Yes. Are they interested in being more effective? No, not at the moment. They probably just want to make sure that they're sustainable and have enough money to keep running. Like that's their number one target. Um, which for me begs the question with coach development and this whole ecological conversation, who are we actually targeting? Who are we actually aiming at? Are we aiming at the participation coaches? Are we aiming at the performance coaches? Are we aiming at just enthusiasts that like to talk about the science? Because ideally, everyone would be doing this,
Yeah.
but as creators and people that discuss this stuff, we need to focus it somewhere.
Mm.
And for those that consume it, a lot of coaches are going, well, what do I got to do? There are loads of,
Yeah.
I imagine, programs, webinars, things you can join. You go there and go, oh, great. You come out thinking, what was the point in that? Or, what did I get from that? And I don't think the ecological approach has a point to it a lot of the time when we discuss it. It's a lot of semantics.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's about behavior at the end of the day, isn't it? Like if you boil it down to what it is, it's what you want to do, how do you want to do it, why do you want to do it? Like, which people care about. Like, it kind of matches my own experience. It was really interesting because for the first time in ever, I was on a podcast, and I just spoke about ecological psychology, and I spoke about it from the perspective of neurodiverse individuals because that's where all my things are. And it was very interesting for that they spent the entire time going, "Oh yeah, that makes sense. Oh yeah, that makes sense. Oh yeah, that makes sense. Oh yeah, that makes sense." And then afterwards, I was like, "So what made sense to you?" It was this thing. Like it feels so simple. And I'm like, I have never heard anyone call ecological psychology simple.
I
It's like what, and it was very interesting to hear their discussion about it because I then did a presentation all about this, like from a very specific area of like how do you do the things you want to do? How do you do the do, which is the most professional language ever, and I love it.
how do you
Um,
do the do-do thing?
how do you do? How do you do?
Yeah.
Exactly. And so that's what I had been focusing on, which is just behavior, which is it could be ecological and it could not be at the same time. Like you,
Well, yes.
it doesn't it
I know what you
doesn't
mean, but ecologically speaking, everything is always ecological because it's the way we would describe the
yeah,
world. But I know what you
yeah.
mean. You don't have to describe it through ecological words
Yeah.
and language.
And it's something that I've been noticing as I've been coaching more is one, some people really love the idea of it. Like just when I boil down what is ecological psychology for my work, it is like intention. It's like what do you want to actually do and how will you do it and what do you see that you can do? And people are just like, this is really it is revolutionary. This is really revolutionary. And it's not. It's not
Old.
revolutionary.
It's old.
It's really old, but there are so many layers that have been piled on top of it with the other approaches. But everyone knows the other approaches, so they relate it to the other approaches.
Hmm. For me, when it comes to, because I'm on LinkedIn a lot more than I was, the coaches that are talking about, they're not talking about ecological psychology, they're talking about the constraints-led approach, which is indirectly ecological psychology. The coaches that are talking about it, I don't disagree with them,
Hmm.
but I don't find their content, I don't understand what the intention of their content is.
Mm.
Like if I was to apply the constraints-led approach as a coach to the content they're creating, I don't know what their intention is apart from making the content. Because if they want to make change, I don't know what the changes that they're looking for. Are they looking to change other coaches? If they are, I don't understand quite how they're going to do that One, from a
Mm.
LinkedIn post, but two, from the post that they're making,
Mm.
because it's very much in their context.
Yeah,
I mean, I imagine you've done courses, been in webinars and things, and you sit there and go, well, that's great for you, but what about me?
yeah, yeah.
And unless there's an explanation of like it's bear with me here. Similar when you watch a documentary, there's an old documentary series that I used to watch on TV years ago called How It's Made.
Mm.
I don't know whether you've seen it, but they go through like factories and they show you the whole step from like material to product of how
Mm.
it's made.
Mm.
And it's really interesting watching that. I have no intention of recreating the machine whatsoever, and I don't really care, to be honest. But what is interesting is how things are adjusted and why they're done in that way. Like, oh, it goes around the machine this way instead of that way because it needs to get this angle and that angle. And oh, it's done in this pattern on the sheet rather than that pattern to get more circles or whatever. And so the how it's made sort of behind scenes documentary of the ecological approach, I think would be more useful to make change rather than showing the product. Especially
Mm.
when you show the product and then other coaches go, well, yeah, but you could have done this and you could have done that. And why, like, why is the label on this way? Why is the label not on that way? Why is it this size and not that size? Why have you done two and not four? Like, you can always pick apart the product.
Yeah.
Um, but picking apart a product, you then inevitably will go back to the how it's made and oh well at this point we got to here and at that point we got to here and with this reasoning with blah 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 and it gets longer. I'm like, well, why are we starting at the product? Why can't we start with the process? Why can't we just share the process and go from there?
It's almost
But now you're not talking about ecological psychology. Now you talk about, well, I didn't put them over there because I thought this. Now it's just behaviors of coaching. There's no eco this or traditional that. It's just I didn't want to tell
But
them this.
isn't that actually ecological psychology?
Well, everything is if we're talking philosophically, everything is, but then everything isn't if you're talking like active inference or traditional. It's just the way that you're explaining the behaviors.
Mm. Which is, yeah, I agree. I think it's more important the way that you explain the behaviors and what you're saying matters more than calling it what it is or what it isn't. Yeah, it doesn't make sense. And this is something that I've been going back and forth. And I've been having a lot of interesting conversations with Claude about what I do and why I do the things that I do in the world. And it knows that I use the principles of ecological psychology in my work. And then it kept going, oh, you do this and you do that. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't. Like, but I don't. Sometimes I'm just helping people do the things they want to do. That's what I do. Like, I use these ideas and this philosophy behind what I'm doing and why I'm doing it, but I don't need to talk about it because no one cares. If
I
if
think
they if they do the thing that they want to do, then that's all that matters to them.
there are a lot of cliches in coaching,
Mhm.
like toolbox.
Yeah.
It's used everywhere. Oh, that's another tool for my toolbox. Okay. I don't think the ecological approach is a tool for your toolbox. I think it is a cover that you'd put on your toolbox.
Mm.
Some people might put a red cover on their toolbox. Some people might put a blue cover on their toolbox. Some people might go orange or purple or green, but the toolbox is the same freaking toolbox. Like it's still a box with tools in. What tools are in that toolbox will change.
Mm. Yeah.
But you could have a blue hammer in there and a red hammer in there. One will work in one situation, one will work in the other situation. You could have a hammer in there and you could describe it through blue or red or orange or green or black. Like you can describe it in different ways, but at the end of the way, you still smack it on something, it's going to go in. You could use the back end of a screwdriver. If you smack a nail, it's going to go down slowly, but it'll go down. Use a hammer, it'll go down faster. Different tools still get the job done. Uh, and that is why I think talking about the ecological approach to a lot of coaches is irrelevant because you need to get them using a hammer before you can start explaining which end to use it.
Yeah.
Because if you give a kid a toolbox, they'll use anything and smack it. Try and get that nail to go in. They'll use anything to just smack it, and it'll work. to try and use a cliche analogy. And so the semantics I think a lot of coaches are going into are useful once you've done the how it's made bit.
So what is
Because
the how it's made from ecological psychology then? Like what does that even exist?
yeah,
Really?
it's how it's made, but every single time you do something is a different one. There'll be
Mm,
trends, there'll be themes, but it's different.
mm,
Like if we use juggling as an example, how it's made, or you could try three right at the start. Just throw three balls up, see if you can catch it. That's a task design. Why did I pick that task design? Why have I said balls? Why have I said three? Why have I said throw them all at the same time and then catch them all? Because that's all completely different. Like the smallest of changes, can you throw three balls one after the other and then catch all three? Well, now you're probably going to go, if you're right-handed, right one, right two, right three, catch left, catch right, catch left, catch left, catch left. That's what most people will probably try and do. Some might try it other ways, but that's most likely. And that would be the how it's made. I give you a task design. Why did I give you all of these different things to create this task design? And discussing that. Then see what happens. Why didn't you add in all of these things? Why did you add in all of these things? And what did you see and what does that tell you about all of these things? That
mm.
is like half an hour's worth of conversation from just giving someone a task and watching them once.
Yeah. Mm,
It's using semantics to talk about science. I was just watching Hank Green talk about when he was explaining whether if you eat a burger, like a pound burger, do you actually put on a pound? He was talking with Ludwig about it. But yeah, he said, Hank was saying that it like they're both right, but they're both wrong. And they could be right, they could be wrong, but at the end of the
mm,
day, they're using semantics to talk about science. And that's, I mean, I literally just watched it as a clip while we were going in. But it's similar with the way that I'm thinking about ecological psychology at the moment when I went to the Sweet Circus. Like, it's, it's not semantics, but a lot of the time it can be seen as semantics to talk
yeah.
about coaching. And that's the way I see it. Like when I'm developing the coaches at Eastbourne Trampoline, I'm not talking about ecological psychology. I'm not talking about the ecological approach. I'm talking about intention, attention, ish. I don't actually say those words because the coaches again are like, "What's that?" I'll ask some questions about the how it's made.
Mm. And
So,
that's
oh, like as an example, one coach said you need to push your hips forwards. It's a biomechanical instruction. She's not wrong. The person does need to push their hip forward more, but they also need to push their feet forwards more because if it's hips, then they're going to bow. But that's another biomechanical thing in trampoline. Um, so the person was so focused on pushing the hips forwards to go round for the back somersault. Great, cool. Why? Why do you need to put your hips forwards? And the coach said to me, because we had this conversation afterwards, oh, because that's what she needs to do to get a better tight back somersault. It's like, okay, what is better? Is that faster? Is that slower? Well, she doesn't need to go faster because she's getting round. And she doesn't need to go slower because she's getting round. So why would she need to go faster? Oh, so she can get an exit. So go from a small shape to a big shape. Okay. Does she have an exit? Well, no, but that's why she needs her hips to go round. If her hips go round and she goes really fast in a small shape, what's she going to do? Over rotate. So how is she going to know she needs to get bigger to slow down? Oh, we teach her that afterwards.
mm,
So why don't you ask her to see if she can go round in a small shape and then a big shape and change the shape in the middle? Like, well, and there's nothing from it. So that's exploring the how it's made. It's not
mm.
wrong, it's not right, it's just a different way of approaching it. Um, and having spoken with, like, I spoke with the participant afterwards, and when I asked them these questions, like, why are you using your hips? She was like, I don't know. Okay, what are you trying to do? use my hips. But why? Well, I don't know. That isn't a ecological thing or a traditional thing or a drills thing or a practice thing or a
Mm.
learning styles thing. That's a what are you trying to do?
Mm.
Like, forget all the science. What you trying to
An
do?
education of intention and attention is fun to say.
True, very true.
Like, let's be honest.
Education of intention and attention. Or is that attention and intention because it should be alphabetical?
I don't care.
Well, how do you say intention, attention, attention, intention?
Intention, intention, attention, because my intention leads my attention.
No, it doesn't.
No.
Ecologically, they're coupled.
Well, yes, true. But like from my experience,
Semantics.
I know, but from my experience, like people often skip that bit. It's like, well, I need to think about this thing. And why? They don't think about they're not asking themselves why. They just do this because they're supposed to. I'm supposed to post, blah, blah, blah. I'm supposed to post on social media because that's what I'm supposed to do. But why? To get clients. Do you get clients from that? No. Well,
But they
why?
have a why.
Yeah.
So they know the why.
Mm.
So they have an
Yeah,
intention.
that's true. But they don't know where to direct their attention.
They've got the attention, they've got the intention because they're behaving. They've got attention and intention. You
Mm.
educating the attention and intention, like, is coupled.
Yeah.
So
No, that's
you're questioning both. Okay, you're paying attention here because you think your intention
that's
is
very
that way.
true.
So you're doing both. Like asking one question addresses both intention and attention. They would
Mm.
typically like focus on one or the other because of the way
Yeah.
that language is used.
That's really interesting because I did a workshop which basically did explored all of this. And then there was a freebie that I created, which is I don't normally make freebies because meh. But the freebie was 3 questions. And someone messaged me afterwards, like a peer in the industry that I'm in, going, "This was incredible. I've never said this was so useful. I was actually able to do things with it." I'm like,
Good.
good. That's the fucking point.
I am.
Oh, here we go. Deciding whether you want to say what you're about to say.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, I'm looking forward to this one. Let's go.
So with coach education,
Yes.
you have NGP courses and qualifications,
Yes.
or you have a degree. Good luck. Uh, most coaches ain't got the time. Obviously, I'm doing the YouTube stuff, and I'm trying to. Okay, whew, panic over. So I am on my website doing stuff. One of the things is Cody stuff, which I think you'll be excited at. Um, yeah, Cody stuff, yes. But I am doing a blog. I'm debating about how much I say about this because I don't want to like publicly commit to stuff and then people go, oh yeah, let's go over there, and then I've like stopped it. But I have a semi-structured blog about my coaching philosophy. So on Eastbourne Trampoline, you go onto the website and you click on our coaching, and it's got some articles about our coaching. I don't put our coaching philosophy, one, because it looks big in a title, and two, because philosophy looks scary. Uh, basically. But on the website, it's got our coaching, and there are some small atomic articles. No, they're no, they're just sort of small notes. And what I'm thinking of doing is having a lot of those online on the website.
Mhm.
Not too many, but having a fair few. I can see you browsing around now, so you're going to have a look.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm thinking of doing some structured education, is how I would describe it. So using Thrive Cart Learn, which you're familiar with, and
Yeah.
doing some structured education about our coaching philosophy. That's
Okay.
that's what I'm thinking of doing. What are your thoughts?
Structured education about your coaching. So who's it for? Your coaches or for anyone who wants to kind of explore it?
Primary audience, Eastbourne trampoline coaches. Secondary
Okay.
audience, sports coaches. Tertiary audience, anyone interested in coaching science.
Okay.
For example, like my Introduction to Ecological Psychology book, I would probably have either a course or a module on the book. And then all of the other books would probably be a course or a module. It depends how in depth I want to go. What I think I'm going to do is just have one course and then a module be a book. So one module be becoming a sports coach, another module be how we learn to move, another module be introduction to ecological psychology, learning optimized movement, etc., etc., etc. So lots of modules about the researchy stuff. But module one, like right at the top, being just like basics. I say basics or fundamentals really loosely, but broad, broad structures. So obviously, sports coaching, there'll be safeguarding in there, there'll be intention, attention in there, um, and sort of leading on to different places. So it would be a module one would be the course. Module two would be if you're interested in this thing, go explore here. Module three would be if you're interested in maybe the second lesson in module one, go explore there. So that it's still open for them to click and go wherever to explore. So it could be just a learning resource, but it is organized, semi-structured in that. Similar with the way that the Transforming Basketball book is sort of structured. You've got theory at the start and then practice at the end, but you can go to the practice at the end if you want. Kind of like that
Hmm.
with videos and quizzes because I think would be fun. I think a lot of
Why?
people. Why for what? What do you mean? Why am I doing it?
Hmm.
One, interesting. Two, because I will learn from it as well because I would go through the resources again. Three, to help others. I think that to help others is the main one, but the first two are obviously me personally, because I think that's
Hmm.
what you were asking for, really. Because I think to help others is an obvious one. Uh,
Hmm.
but yeah, and to help others. The the why now?
Hmm.
Because I'm looking for more coaches. Like I'm always looking for more coaches. And in order to educate coaches in the way Eastbourne Trampoline coach, I need to share what our philosophy is, our coaching
Yeah, that's
philosophy is.
true. Yeah.
And unless they're going to go to the sessions and they come through the sessions, ain't anyone going to work that out.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's to, I guess, in an indirect way, to market our coaching philosophy because it is working. And I feel like a course-ish um, like that would be effective. And of course, it would be pay what you want, but any payments would go towards Eastbourne Trampoline, not me.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
But having it on a course platform, ish platform like Thrive Cart Learn, I
Yeah.
think is
So,
beneficial because it's structured enough for those that want the structure to follow the step by step, but fluid enough for those that go, hey, I just want to learn this thing, they can go and have a look.
so we spent 20 minutes talking about how ecological psychology, like the ecological approach is redundant.
Yep.
Why are you creating a module in
Why am I? It wouldn't be a module on that, it would be a module on that and all the other stuff.
it?
Because it's redundant, as I mentioned, to a certain point.
Yeah,
What I want to do is try and get more coaches beyond that point.
I
Um,
see. So once it's kind of almost
like I see
taking,
addressing the myths, like the myths of sports coaching. I see that being part of like right at the start. Like, don't bother doing a warm up, don't bother doing a cool down,
yeah,
unless blah blah blah. Learning styles, BS. Like getting the myths of sports coaching out, done, got rid of that. So all the
yeah.
stuff that I would see typically in a session that I've seen over the last like few months that I see in various coaches' conversations. the myths that I see, the common things would be in the first bit. Like if you've done the first bit, which will be, I don't know, 9, 10 minute lessons or things, like an hour and a half long. That's what I have in my head. I'm very optimistic there. Um, but if I've got those things, a coach could just go, spend an hour, do the quizzes, watch the videos, read the documents, whatever they want to do, and do that stuff. Then they're at a point where like, oh, okay, but what's next? And that's where I think the ecological philosophy, not going heavy into it, but ecological philosophy or the active inference philosophy, traditional approaches, the drills, that's where those conversations, that's where the semantics changes from broad to a little bit more specific. That's the transition. So it's getting people through the level one, the level two faster, and getting to the level three, level four conversations quicker so you can have more of those conversations. Because the conversations that we have about ecological psychology are where I want coaches to be at, but it's redundant for most
Yeah.
coaches because they're not at that point. But they're not going to get to that point because of the barriers to coach education. It's expensive,
Mm.
it takes time to get there, and it's unaccessible or inaccessible to a lot of people.
Yeah.
So I want to try and reduce all three of those barriers. I want to make it free and available. I want to make it accessible, so it's online and like available for them to do when they want. And I want to try and make it as applicable as I can to them, which some people won't read books. They'll want an AI summary. Some people will want a video because they're deaf and they need interpretation, or they need subtitles, or they need it simplified, or they need visuals to support them. Some people just want a quiz to check that they understand what's going on. Oh, yeah, I know this thing. So they can just do a quick ten question quiz at the end of it and be like, oh, yeah, done that. That was easy. But if they get it wrong, they're like, oh, I got it wrong. Maybe I should have a look at this, or something. But I'm not going to tell them the answer. Like again, it's like one of those things. I'm not going to give them the answer. So if it's 10 questions and they get 8 out of 10, I'm not going to tell them which one they got wrong. They're going to have to go back and do it again. I know it's a real pain when you have that because you're like, yeah, but I know these ones are right, so it's got to be one of these that is wrong. But which one is it that's wrong? And that's where they have the thinking. They're going through it. That's the way that I learn. It's the way from research a lot of other people learn. Some people will be like 8 out of 10. That's good enough for me. Um, yeah. So that's my thinking on it.
Mm.
Because
Cool.
I imagine you would probably also go straight to those quizzes. You go to the quizzes and be like, okay, what are these questions? I'm sure I can get this right.
Yes.
And the answers might not necessarily be in the video and the resources as well.
Mm.
Like I might, again, I'm making this up as I go along, but I might say, oh, there is this book or there is this research or there is this study or there is this thing or there is this idea here that if you haven't gone to have a look at it, you wouldn't know what the answer is to the question. So I might put like a question in the quiz on a source that I reference. So if they get that question wrong multiple times, I can see the answers to the questions because I don't want talent.
Yeah.
So I can see who's actually going to read the source to find out the answer to come back to get the quiz right. And if they've gone to read the source, that's it. Whether they do it or not is another thing, but they've read the thing.
Yeah.
So
I've
the
often found from my own experience of everything that we've done, it just seems these days it just comes out of me. Like I have consumed so much, and now I'm
it's
at a
become a
stage.
logical answer. You're like, well, of course it's
Yeah,
this thing.
yeah,
And
and
others
it's
are like, no, it's
become
not.
yeah, and it's so interesting to see my own progression of understanding.
Yeah. Yeah, so the I don't know whether you saw on the website. If
Yes,
okay, what are your initial thoughts?
this it's very interesting. I love it. From a like, if I step into it's like, oh, well, how would I do? Like, my first thing is, how would I do this? Why would I do this? Would I even do this? What would be my reasons behind it? What would I say?
Is this
I
the our coaching bit or is this other parts of the website?
the our coaching bit.
Okay. Yeah.
It was like the our coaching. What would I put? Why would I put that? And how would I put that? That's the first thing that comes to mind. I really love how short they are. Like, that's really quite. It's very much as few words as possible. You can feel that every single word matters, and it's saying a lot of different things in a single line.
Pick out an example for those that are listening.
Okay. The best, it's actually the two lines here. The best coaches aren't the ones yelling from the sidelines or micromanaging every move. They are the ones who gradually step back. Like, they are the ones who gradually step back. I'm like, oh, what does that mean? Like, there's just it's like the words are simple, but the meaning you can just it's soaked in meaning, which is very hard to say, like to express, because you can just feel it. It's like, oh, well, yeah, for the silence of micromanaging every move, who gradually step back. So they may start by yelling, like I'm like they're the ones who gradually. So gradually, what does that mean? Well, you may start by talking directly to the person and then you start moving backwards. So you're not actually even saying yelling from the sidelines, micromanaging is bad. It's different. It's like gradually moving. Like there are so many different little details that I can overthink, um, and have fun overthinking. It's like, oh yeah, that's true. Oh yeah, that's really good. That.
Yep. It obviously it's very hard to make an article about something that's philosophically dense,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
but short, simple, and still grabs people. Because I imagine, well, I hope anyway, those those articles are digestible for all ranges of understanding.
Mm,
So some of them obviously have pictures in. I don't know whether you've seen the
yeah.
yeah, and the pictures again are not complicated.
Mm, yeah.
Cool. And
Yeah.
then the Cody bit, which I think you might enjoy,
Oh
if you
yeah.
go to the jump, so click on jump, it says learn skill. Under there, it will say pick a skill, I think.
Hmm.
Click on that one.
Ooh, look at that. That's cool.
And then obviously when you push the button and you drag the sliders, it gives suggestions.
That's cool.
So that is my next attempt at trying to address the task selection. Because it's on the website, anyone could be on their phone and push the button. Or we've got a club iPad as well, so there's an iPad that hovers around the trampolines and they can push the button.
Oh, it's just an elemental thing.
Yeah,
Ooh,
it's in
fascinating.
HTML. It's just in HTML in an HTML widget. So it's all written there.
Ooh.
It's just a little bit of script. But yes, so for those that are listening, they can pick the amount of skills they want. So it could be one or it could be 10, like all the way up the slider. Then they can adjust the minimum or maximum difficulty. So minimum being 1, maximum being 10. So you could say, I want any skill between 1 and 10, or any skill between 1 and 2 is by default. 1 and 3, 1 and 4, or maybe 2 and 5, or 3 and 9. So they can change that, and then one skill will be suggested, or two skills, or three skills. And what for those in trampoline, this is needed, but for those that are not, it might not be apparently obvious to start with. If you've got three skills, obviously the first skill needs to, whatever it ends on, the second skill needs to start from where that one ended. So if the first one is like a full twist, you end on your feet. The second one needs to start on the feet. If the first one is from feet to front, well, the second one needs to start on front. Otherwise, you can't start anywhere else because you're on your front. So I've made it so that each skill, when they go after, is from the last like end state. I.e., if they're landing on the front, the next one starts in the front. If they land on the back, the next one starts in the back. with all the difficulty added in and goes up. And some of the random combinations that come out are uncomfortably disgusting when you're actually on the trampoline because you would never choose to do that. But it's completely random. Oh, well, I say completely random. Obviously, it's slightly controlled because it's a random encode. But yeah, so anyone can push that button to give suggestions.
How'd you build it? I want to know all of that. That's going to be after I soup, but I want to know how you built it.
A little bit of assistance with ChatGPT and then my own coding understanding. Took about 5 hours.
Fascinating.
Yeah, it took about 5 hours to get it working. Um, but yeah, so that is a tool in my toolbox.
Ooh, totally toolbox.
Yeah. So what approach does that come under?
Eh.
See, it doesn't. It doesn't.
I had this experience with a couple of clients recently where I actually used one of the Gestalt exercises, which is the two-person exercise. I don't, you're probably familiar with it,
Yeah.
but like that was really powerful for a number of my clients recently. And I'm like,
Hmm.
what approach is that? Well, I called it Gestalt, but which it's where yeah,
It is, but it's not. It's the same as anything. You're like,
yeah.
it's similar with like when you're in the gym and you do like a stretch or a movement. You're like, what's that? You literally just come up with any name, just put a label on it and be like, there you go. It's I don't know. It's the book drill. Why? Because it looks like you're opening a book. I don't know.
It's the marketing of it, isn't it? It's like,
Yeah,
what word do you put on it to make it achieve the thing you want to achieve?
exactly, exactly. So, yeah, yeah. So, do you want to talk about the Cody stuff on recording or off?
I don't care.
Do you think
Uh,
the listeners would be interested?
they may not be able to see it.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
All right. Well, tough luck. Bye.
Yes. So we'll speak to you all next time.
See you next time. Bye.
Bye.